Welcome to the Flora podcast, a place where we help you create a life you're excited about. Welcome back to the podcast. Today, we are going to talk about decluttering some mental chatter by differentiating thinking versus your thoughts. I am so excited for this one. If you are new to my channel, welcome. I'm Flora, minimalism mentor, simplification coach, and 7-time author. For over 25 years, I've been helping women like you align into a life you are wildly obsessed with by helping you clear the 9 types of clutter, keeping you from a life that you love. What are those 9 types of clutter? They are mental, spiritual, emotional, digital, financial, daily, body, process, and environmental clutter. My YouTube channel is where I share environmental decluttering tips, and here on the podcast, I share with you how to declutter the rest. Please subscribe or follow this feed so you get notified every time an episode is released. And again, today we are going to talk about the difference between thinking and your thoughts. Recently, I gave one of my clients a few books to read. She is a bookworm. And one of the books was How Successful People Think. The other book was Don't Believe Everything You Think. And after she read one of the books, she was in the middle of the second, and she messaged me on our coaching app, and she said, okay, I need some clarification because I feel like these books are contradicting each other. And I said, oh, I am so glad you asked that. So what I shared with her is what I'm going to share with you now. We have over 60,000 thoughts per day. Most are the same as the thoughts from yesterday and the day before that. The book, Don't Believe Everything You Think, is about getting out of the mental loops that cause anxiety and that may cause you to feel stuck in your life. These are those automatic and unconscious mental loops that so many people experience. The book, How Successful People Think, shares with you thinking techniques that teach you how to actually direct your mind to those things that will move you forward in the direction in your life that you want to go. It gets you intentional about your thinking. The book, How Successful People Think, also explains why mastermind groups work so well. Most people have a default way of thinking when it comes to problem solving. Because you have your own natural way to think about things, you may often feel stuck in finding new ways to think about a situation and how to approach a situation. When you intentionally think about things in your life, solutions begin to emerge and you start to see a step-by-step plan of where you want to go. On the flip side, when you allow your mind to drift wherever it will and you don't intentionally direct what you give your attention to, then you start to get caught up in those mental loops. Again, these mental loops are often associated with stuck thinking or feelings of lack or anxiety or feeling like you have no options and that you just have to put up with what you have and not reach for anything more because of what you're doing isn't working. When you intentionally channel your thoughts and intentionally pick apart what you are thinking, what happens is all of a sudden those automatic mental loops start to become less and less. You start to notice them, which again, in that first book, Don't Believe Everything You Think, you start to recognize, oh, this is just an automatic loop, boom, and then you clear it and then move on. So there's several different ways that I could move from here. I typically will bring people through these 2 books in coaching because they're overthinking stuff, or they're missing the big picture, or they really want to expand and challenge their status quo in a way that moves you to a higher level and a higher value of thought. Next week, we're going to be doing a podcast about high value versus low value things in your life. And so allowing yourself to really begin to observe your thoughts and ask yourself, am I caught up in these mental loops, or am I intentionally thinking? If you've been listening to this podcast for any amount of time, you know that I do a weekly thinking session, and I do weekly reviews of my work and my life. I do monthly reviews. These are thinking sessions. These are times where I block off at minimum an hour. And I get a brand new piece of paper and I just think. I give myself permission to say, what is one thing I want to think about? It could be my relationship. It could be a segment of my business. It could be a segment of my health. It could be my wealth. It could be any number of things in my life. But I give myself space to strategically think about that part of my life. And I start to employ one of the 11 different types of strategic thinking. And again, this is detailed in the book, How Successful People Think. I will actually post the link to both of these books in the show notes. Check them out. They are amazing. I highly recommend them to everyone. When you start to strategically think about pieces of your life, problems that seemed like problems before start to dissolve because you start to recognize, oh wait, this is just a mental loop. Another fabulous thing about the book, Don't Believe Everything You Think, is there's such great questions at the end of the book that allow you to pick apart these automatic thoughts and pick apart these mental loops. And when you do that, when you actually sit down and you do the work to pick all this stuff apart, you'll find that you don't have as many mental loops and you don't have as many of these mental thoughts and subconscious thoughts that are just kind of automatically just kind of playing through your head. You start to really strategically think in your life so much more than you've ever thought before. And I know that sounds a little bit bizarre, but when you start to do it, you're going to get it. And, our life is the byproduct of our thoughts and actions. And when you can get rid of these automatic thoughts and start to intentionally think in your life, you start to recognize when you start to go on autopilot. And you move yourself in the direction where you want to go. It's so incredible. And this is one of the easiest ways to clear clutter in your life. Because when you think about your life, what your priorities are, what your goals are, and you literally think about it, and you start to strategize, and you start to get clear, again, on those keystone habits, which we talked about last week, you start to recognize where you're going into robot mode or automatic mode, and you realize, oh shit, like if I go down this path, I'm wasting my life, because your attention is how you're spending your life. Whatever you give attention to is how you are spending your time, and time is your only currency. You can't get time back. And when you differentiate your thinking versus your thoughts, and you start to recognize that thoughts just automatically happen, so when you employ thinking, your thoughts become much less automatic and random and much more nurturing in the direction of where you truly want to go in your life. So I highly recommend both of these books. One of the reasons why I recommended these to my current client is because she is learning to resolve her anxiety and wanted to learn a more efficient way to think about her life in a more productive way. So ask yourself, do you get caught up in mental loops? Do you get caught up in like automatic thinking? Do you ever sit and just think about your life? Do you ever schedule thinking time into your day or into your week? I'm curious. So let's continue this conversation and support each other in building the lives you are not only wildly obsessed with, but that you are genuinely at peace with and filled with so much joy. If you would like my help with this, click the link in the show notes. Let's connect. I would love to speak with you. If you're listening to this on YouTube, I would invite you to share your experiences with differentiating thinking versus your thoughts in the comments below. And if you're listening to this on any podcast streaming service, email me, flora@florasage.com, to share your comments. If you found today's episode helpful, please subscribe, share with your friends, and please leave a review. Your support helps this podcast reach more people looking to declutter their lives and to align into a life that they are wildly obsessed with. I hope this serves you today. And remember, all it takes is a clear vision of what you want and the willingness to take a small 1 degree of a shift in that direction daily to align into a life that you love. I love you. Thank you for listening, and I will see you in the next episode. Mwah.